Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here, and we're going to be talking about modernizing mining. There's a tremendous demand for mining, for precious metals, for minerals, of course, as we look at the new green future and the energy transition. And only the other day, just here, I was talking to somebody who actually said, why was I doing a mining session? And it was a little bit of a revelation to her, actually, that it is so important. She said, we're not looking backward when we talk about mining, and I just think we now realize the importance and the absolute, essential presence of the mining industry, which is, I think, in shape for an upgrade. And I have a fabulous panel here. Let me quickly introduce them. We have the Vice Minister for Mining Affairs here from Saudi Arabia, His Excellency Khaled Al Mudaifir. Thank you so much for being with us. Yeah. Robert Friedland is here, the founder and chairman of Ivanhoe Capital. Lovely to see you, Robert. Bob Wills, the CEO of Ma'aden. And also we're joined with Andronicos Sikvik from Antofagasta. So we've got a nice varied panel here. We don't have a whole lot of time, so let's get started here. And really, we're looking at moving towards, a greener future, the energy transition. Demand for critical minerals, it's on the increase non-stop. How can Saudi Arabia actually help this? And also, there's got to be a few challenges there, I'd say.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Etna. It's really a pleasure to be along in this panel alongside esteemed leaders of the mining industry, and also discussing a topic that is front of mind for all of us. As you rightly said that without minerals, we would be unable to decarbonize the world, Etna, and also not achieve the target for carbon emission as agreed in the Paris agreements. So humanity has used minerals for thousands of years to thrive and create. Minerals now are the medicine to heal our planet. However, there's two main challenges the world needs to address to get more minerals. The first one is to discover and produce enough minerals. The second is for societies to allow minerals to be produced. Mining, by its nature, has a very long time framework. It's complex. It's high risk. It's highly intensive in capital. It also uses enormous amount of resources: water, energy, land, and people. And most of our current practices for processing minerals are high in carbon emission. Therefore, we need technologies, and we need to develop ourselves to overcome these. In addition to young men and women nowadays do not think of mining as a career option. Therefore, as an industry that thinks decades, not years, we must learn how to become more agile, and how to become more agile and how to address these challenges. In Saudi Arabia, we once believed that we have been late in developing our minerals. Today, we think it's the right time. The time is right. Is the right time, as we use the world's best and latest technology, and also centuries of know-how to explore, survey our underexplored kingdom, and also to develop our 1.3 trillion estimated endowments. All this has to be, therefore, we have made a major transformation in Saudi ecosystem, in the mining sector. We have launched the world's largest and latest regional geological survey of over 700,000 Arabian kilometer of Arabian Sea Shield. We have issued our first version of National Geological Database with 80 years of information. We have transformed or issued our new, fully revised new mining law that is transparent, competitive, provide for security of tenure, and also progressive, embracing ASG principles.
You know, I want you to hold that because I really want to go into a bit more detail in terms of what's going on here. Now, Robert, just before we came in, we had a chance to talk to Dan Jurgen with S&P here. And, you know, there was a study that S&P has done. And he was telling us about the need for copper, that it actually needs to double to meet demand. And indeed, when we look at climate goals by 2030, so we're about 22 billion tons now. And this was actually also a study that you participated in. But you're claiming it's even got to be more than that. I've only got the surface. Thank you, Dan. Do we have enough copper?
Salam alaikum. We don't have enough copper. The entire world is dependent on Saudi Arabia being a stable supplier of energy. If we want to change that in any way and electrify the world economy, we need copper metal. Copper conducts electrical energy better than anything other than gold and silver, which are too important for the purpose. So all alternatives to crude oil require copper metal, and we don't even begin to have enough. Fortunately, our experts think that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has blessings not only in crude oil, but in copper metal.
So we'll have a look in terms of where we're going to find all of that copper and what we're going to do with it. Bob, when we look at technology, I mean, is it the answer to actually help mines, meet the demand for the minerals that are critical to clean energy? And there's almost a 2-for-1 here. Will that technology also, be the answer to building mines of the future?
Well, so, Robert just says, there's not enough copper currently, but we've got to find it. If you look at what the world is going to require over the next 3 or 4 decades, generally it takes about 19 years from the time you find something to have a mine around it. We need to compress that timeline down to at least 6 years, and the only way you're going to do that is an improvement in how you do it with technology. So we've got to find the best and brightest. His Excellency Khalid Madafer mentioned that we need to attract talents to the sector. There's huge opportunities for the deployment of technology to help find it, process it, market it. This should be an exciting career field for young engineers, young scientists. And so technology is absolutely going to need to be brought to bear. And in order to have that technology, we need the talent to get there.
And again, we want to talk about that a little bit more. Andronico, when we look, again, copper mining, this is what you're doing at Antofagasta. Copper mining has been going on for thousands of years. I was going to say you've been doing it for thousands of years, looking good on it. But I mean, the company and people like that, can actually the mines of the future, how do we find them? How do we meet that growing demand? And again, as Robert says, there's not enough right now.
I totally agree with that. And the main thing for us, we've been evolving as copper miners, and we will continue to evolve. Most important thing for us is we're evolving also in environmental issues, that we're getting much better. And for us, and the new generation of miners that I consider myself there, it's very important where sustainability mining is going. And for that, we have 3 main pillars that are very important. Usage of seawater in all of our processes, renewable energies, as you know, solar and wind, and then how do we treat our waste? How do we treat the tailings and the technology that there will be of a lot of help for the future?
Let's come back to the technology issue. I mean, when we look here in Saudi Arabia, there has been mining going on, but as you say, there's a lot more possibilities. And again, possibly not as much legacy. So where can we see technology contributing to possibly more efficient mining and really helping, I suppose, decrease the carbon footprint and build sustainability into the industry?
Of course, at the beginning, technology, we need all type of technology in the mining. We lag behind many industries, even our extractive oil and gas. So we need technologies in the discovery, in the surveys and discovery of ore bodies, And we need these technologies in processing, producing green hydrogen and producing green minerals, and to reduce the footprint, the environmental footprint for a smaller mine of the future, smaller footprints, and of course, and also safety of the mines. This will attract more young men and women. And we in Saudi Arabia have done a major work encouraging industrial plants. We established the competitiveness program where there is incentives to be paid. Almost $200 million have been paid in the last year to incentivize digital transformation, renewable technologies, and also energy efficiency technology utilization by industrial plants. And in Saudi Arabia, we have the leadership commitment, the vision, the mineral, the energy, renewable and hydrocarbon, and the investment drive, and risk-taking to invest and scale up new technology as we are doing in the green hydrogen. Our ambition in Saudi Arabia is to be a global hub for green minerals and a global hub for green minerals technologies.
Robert, now you say there's not enough copper around, but clearly you're still out there looking for it. And again, you know, a lot of the operations you're doing in Africa, are we going to find more copper in emerging markets in Africa? And what here, you know, in the Arabian Shield? What about Saudi Arabia? What's the chances here? Have you been looking?
Saudi Arabia has had a history of mineral development going back over 4,000 years. Not even 1/1000% has been examined. The potential is limitless, but our Creator was so kind to the people of Saudi Arabia with crude oil, nobody bothered to look at the mineral potential. Wow. But the minerals the world needs will be found here in abundance, especially for developing technology. We think this is one of the most interesting locations. Ma'aden is a leading producer of fertilizer and metals, in no small part due to the inexpensive energy, the abundance of energy, and the infrastructure that the kingdom has developed. So I'm quite sure the world mining industry will beat a path to Saudi Arabia, and you'll see explosive development of mineral resources here in line with His Royal Highness's vision for 2030.
And I guess that's what everybody is certainly hoping, I think, and it's needed without a doubt. Bob, when we look at investors and mining companies, I mean, it's not an easy job in many ways. You know, there's a lot to deal with at the moment. There's supply chain crunches, political backlash in many ways too. The industry possibly doesn't have the finest reputation, competing global production. You know, how do you navigate all of these issues as an investor and as a miner?
Well, as an investor, I tell our investors, you know, take a long view of us. And if you look at Ma'aden, for example, we have been the best performing mining stock over the last 10 years in total shareholder return because we've built in resiliency in our production. We've built in redundancy. We've had plan B and plan C because things do happen. I mean, COVID happened, yes, and we responded. Things break, we respond. So, you know, as an operator, as a miner, you've got to have the mindset that your strategy will only survive the first contact with the enemy. So as soon as you put a shovel in the ground, something's going to break, something's going to go wrong. So we're used to that. So we just need to convince our investors that price that risk in and be with us for the long term, and we will deliver.
So that lovely robot we see running around, they're hoping one day to sort of the upgraded version will be able to help you in the mines.
Right.
You know, so have a word with Mbami. Is it maybe they need a diversification in the job role that they're doing? Andronico, you talked about water waste or just water usage and waste. And again, mines have to be efficient, but they also really need to be more environmentally friendly. How can, and again, their energy consumption is huge. So how do you actually run that parallel in terms of saving energy, reducing emissions, and yet growing production?
Yeah, water is a very important element for the mining process, as you know. And I think countries, we're lucky enough in Chile also to be closest to the sea, as you're here in desertic countries. Continental usage of water is going to be almost impossible in the future, we think. So the sea should be the way to go. To make a little example, in the northern operations that we have in Chile, it's called Centinela, we pump untreated salt water all the way from the coast up to the mines, 150 kilometers, from 0 to 2,000 meters high, and we run the whole process with untreated salt water. That's very interesting because at the end, in the tailings, we thicken the tailings, we paste them, so we extract a little bit more water out, 30%, and we reuse that. But also because it's a desert like here almost, with the heat in the day, evaporation comes out, we create sand dunes at the end with a thin crust of salt. That also is very good for dust. So we control dust in that way. So it's technology and mining has been going together little by little.
Maybe, Robert, I could bring you in on this too, in terms of looking at mining in this region too. Perhaps a lot more need for desalination, thereby putting costs up a lot. No.
You're asking me?
Which Robert?
Well, I mean, I'll come both to you. No, I've only got one Robert. I have a Robert and a Bob, so I'll stay with Robert. When he wants to avoid a question, he's going to go which Robert. No, but how do you deal with the water waste, and how do you deal with that heavy energy consumption? Because that adds to your bottom line a lot too. And if you're looking in this region, and I'll come back to you, Your Excellency, as well, on desalination and costs there.
Everything we touch, every single thing we touch, we either grew it agriculturally or we mined it. So this is a crazy question. I mean, life itself is dependent on energy and on mining, and any solution, any problem you can dream of is dependent on things that come from mining. So if you're ever guilty of using a hand phone, there's 85 elements in the periodic table. So the mining industry is changing very radically. I can assure you that technology has evolved that will not hurt Mother Earth at all. But any solution to any problem you can think of requires the mining industry to come to the rescue. And even crude oil production is mining. Crude oil is mining. So if you go to the number 7 Prosperity well near Hobart, that well made the modern world. Without that, if the kingdom didn't find that oil in 1938, we wouldn't have London and New York and Chicago and Los Angeles. It was all built on the energy that came from the kingdom. And so this is an appropriate country to engage in conscious, modern mining. And inshallah, it'll have amazing benefits for not only this region and for the young people in the country that are looking for something very productive, but it will be absolutely necessary for human benefit. We're scheduled to have 8 or 9 billion people on this little spaceship hurtling through space. So us poor miners, there's a lot of pressure on us to find the things the world needs, and for that, we appreciate the support and interest of the leadership in the kingdom.
And looking at that leadership, Your Excellency, talk to us indeed about the role of Saudi Arabia, the incentives that are there, the opportunities. How are you attracting more business to come here and more investors in the mining sector?
We have established a number of incentives in our law by itself. The law itself is a world class, but more than that, there is discounts, there is royalty grace periods of 5 years for production. Also, there is 75%, up to 75% soft loans that can be given to miners and advanced explorers. And also, on running royalty, there is up to 90% discount if the material is used and processed locally. And also for enabling on the water issue, because this is very important, on the water issue, we have, in Saudi Arabia, we collect around 5.6 treated water. And when the projects are in a place to double this to 12 million cubic meter per day. We only use now 17% of that treated water, while the plan is to increase the utilization to 70%. Today, Ma'aden uses 80% of the gold produced is using treated water. They want to increase this to even more in all their commodities, but this is a great opportunity. We don't have lots of water, but using treated water for mining processing is one of a good option, in addition to solution as Andriaco have from the water. Therefore, Saudi Arabia is ready for is ready and welcoming investments. The whole mining law, investment ecosystem, infrastructure, location, investment in technology. We are one of the best internet, 5Gs, cybersecurity. I think you heard it too many times while in these 2 days. We have leaped in all these investment attraction requirements. However, we cannot do it alone. We as government cannot do it alone. And for the industry really to develop and change, the government and the industry and all stakeholders need to collaborate. On a multi-stakeholder collaborative approaches to bridge the gap between where the industry is now to where it should be, it need to be in the future to produce the cleaner future, and to achieve balance between maximizing the benefit to the people and minimizing the harmful to the environment. For all this, we have the Future Mineral Forum. It will be, it's a conference like this.
Save that one now.
We will
Save
talk
that
about
one.
more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we'll get them before I let everybody go. We'll tell them about that. Robert, when we look at the political climate at the moment, and we look at stakeholders around the world, and there's probably a bit of an anti-mining movement out there and an anti-natural resource movement. Indeed, the ESG principles in terms of where investors are looking and making sure that everything, all the boxes are ticked. This has to make your life a little bit harder, because you need big investments, be it in Africa, be it here. How do you actually navigate through that as a modern miner? Okay, this could take a while. I think that's what he's giving us, that look.
Mining is not a business for intelligent people. If we were really smart, we'd just write an app as a teenager and sell it for several $billion a few days later. But mining is the bedrock of everything we do. It is the most basic of human needs. And if we want to leave a different or better world to our children, Ma'aden is producing food. When they produce fertilizer, it's the same as producing food. And so crude oil is energy. Water is necessary for life. Food, aluminum is necessary for me to sit in this chair. This is absolutely basic. And so the problem is that people don't understand the supply chain. In America, we like to say people think a ham sandwich comes from a refrigerator. They never see 40 million pigs a month slaughtered in a river of blood outside Chicago. So as we are beginning to understand we live in an interconnected world, the mining industry is developing a more conscious and intelligent way to find the things we need. And without these things, we will not leave a better world to our children or our grandchildren.
But the industry has probably not been very good about actually getting that message out. And I know even in the oil and gas industry, this is also an issue. What can we do now? Because I think it's more vital than ever. What can players like yourself do, the leaders in the industry? And I'll put that maybe to all of you. Robert.
So I'll take this one. Robert will take this one. So I think, you can't enhance your image unless you have facts and accomplishments to back it up. So, here at Ma'aden, we laid out 2 years ago a carbon neutrality plan by 2050. So we claimed we'd be carbon neutral by 2050. We've subsequently broken that into 10-year goals and now 5-year goals, and now a 3-year goal. And we've signed MOUs to build solar fields to expand our smelter. We've signed an MOU for a solar field to decarbonize the production of alumina. We've been certified this week in blue ammonia. So we produce 14% of the world's blue ammonia starting this week. So you got to start doing something, and you got to have tangible accomplishments to go out there and tell the world about it. And oh, by the way, we were one of the 3 top bidders for carbon credits in the world's largest voluntary carbon market yesterday. So to aid in our transition. So miners have to put their money where their mouth is. We have to get in front of this and do something. The image will change.
Yeah, because it's a great story, and you're needed more than ever.
Right.
And I mean, it was quite surprised when that lady just last night just almost mentioned, why are we even looking at mining, you know, at an event, a forward-looking event
Right.
like this? People don't know.
Because, and I would say, when you talk about technology and leaving the world a better place and scarcity of resources and how to, like, we are working, and it's not just Modern. I'm sure every company in the sector is working on solutions for waste products, more energy efficient production. The greatest amount of technology is being brought to bear in this sector because this is the sector that the world is going to depend on for decarbonization and electrification.
And that's the message I think that has to get across. Talk to me, Andronico, in terms of, do you think that mining can actually be environmentally friendly? Is that the big push now, and are you going to be able to do it?
Robert is laughing. I think 100% we can do it. I think we're in the right path. We're doing it right now. I think with the technology that is coming into the industry, different mines, you know, different divisions. We used to mine the same way for a long time. Now we're getting data scientists into the industry. We are bringing new talent into here, and we're making it excited again. I think that's the most important thing, to have many new brains thinking about how we are doing it and how much better we can do it in the future.
And we have to get those new brains. Bob, you mentioned talent earlier there. I mean, will people come and work in this industry right now? Are they just lining up, waiting to get in?
Not yet, but we need to paint a better picture. That's the answer. And once they see the compelling opportunities of what they can contribute to, because let's face it, everybody, whether you work in the U.S., Chile, Saudi Arabia, Canada, people want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And this is an opportunity to join an industry that can truly change the world. This is not just going out and processing phosphate into fertilizer. It's feeding the world. This is not just turning bauxite into aluminum. It's flying people around the world. It's building interconnected supply chain. It's doing fabulous things. So we just got to present a compelling case for the kids of today to do it.
Your Excellency, how are you finding the workforce in Saudi Arabia? Are they looking seriously at the mining sector? Are you aggressively going out there and making sure you talk to the universities, you talk to the schools and get people started early?
We have started, we have an initiatives working with universities to open an additional colleges with high quality. We are working with University Colorado School of Mines. We are working with Australian universities to revamp the universities here and help increase the capacity available, and also increases the apprenticeship and training developments that will bring operators and technicians for the future mines, which is more highly digitally dependent and uses data analysts and others. So it's not only about miners and geologists, it's also about data analytics, artificial intelligence, and all the sciences that are in the engineering are required to be deployed in mining. So we are looking into the whole spectrum of education.
So again, I mean, I think it needs that upscaling. I think that it needs an image revamp in terms of becoming a more, technologically driven industry, which it probably has a lot of the time. We've only got a couple of minutes left, so I want to give you at least a minute each to, I suppose, look to the future. Andronico, in terms of, what has to be done now? I mean, I think we've established a communication effort might have to be done. But again, what can we do? We look at the demand, the danger that we don't maybe have enough at the moment. How do we actually balance that right now? And what do you hope you can do in the near term and midterm? Because I think that's really important.
Yeah, just go back again to dig a little bit more in talent. I think we, again, need to rethink how we're doing it. Shifts in mines today, 7x7, say 7 days in the mine, 7 days out of the mine. Young people don't want to do that. So we need to build city mining campuses. Here, the Vision 2030, they're building cities. If we bring the mines to the city, you get much better talent. You'll get data scientists. We'll put universities together with the science areas. And that, I think, is where we need to, or at least where we put our vision, on how to change the way that we're working today.
And be more proactive about it. Bob, what do you think really needs to be done on the bigger, wider picture in terms of the future?
Build the engine. So we can talk about technology, we can talk about exploration, processing capability, ESG, but until we build the ecosystem and the engine to get there, we're just talk. So it's hiring the right people, it's creating the right partnerships, it's deploying the appropriate amount of capital, it's getting after it and doing it.
And is there a danger there's resistance to that at the moment? I mean, do you need, on a wider scale, not necessarily here and in this region, but the political will to maybe shift a little bit towards the future of mining?
I don't think I think everybody would agree with Robert that there's not enough and we need more. It's getting the different regions of the world and the governments of the world to align around it, because obviously there's going to be a conflict about who gets it. So that's an issue. But at our level, we've got to collaborate. We've got to find it. Let the big guys sort out where it ends up.
Robert, a call to action, if there is one, for the industry there.
What was that question again?
In terms of just what do you need done now? I mean, if there's a call to action that you need, you're looking at a time when maybe resources aren't adequate. What do you need to do to actually explore more and deliver the demand that's clearly there to actually fulfill or deliver the supply?
I think as the custodian of the holy places, the development of the Saudi mining industry could go throughout the entire Islamic world and, using Islamic principles, develop a lot of wealth in Africa and other countries that really need assistance from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And I think the greatest mineral potential are in countries where it would be difficult for the United States or even China to enter. And so I think the Kingdom is blessed with a leading potential role in the entire energy transition to cleaner economies and to play a role in world peace. We're really in a world now where war has begun, and we used to fight wars over crude oil, didn't we? Do you think the Americans would have really bombed Saddam Hussein if there wasn't a single drop of oil in Iraq? So to maintain world peace, we have a huge young population in Africa and in Asia that needs to be fed. And I think the Kingdom has unlimited ambition to play a leading role in the world economy. And I sincerely believe that the determination of the young leadership in the country and the young people here are in a position to truly make a difference, because the Kingdom understood that wealth from the Creator came from the earth, starting with prosperity number 7, the well near Hobart that made Aramco. And I think the Kingdom is in a position to do the same in mining and play a truly leading role in that development. And I hope and pray that that's actually the case, because
Your Excellency, Al-Mudafir, I'll leave you the closing word on this. You have support clearly from Robert, from many people in the industry, and you need those partners on board. Sort of a quick look, what's next for Saudi Arabia mining? And then I do believe you're going to invite us all to come to your big event.
Yeah, I need to do some marketing. So, but I think the notion that one single entity can solve for the great challenges ahead does not exist. It's not true. Therefore, as we said, we need a platform where a multi-stakeholder, collaborative approach, dialogue to bridge the gaps and have a frank and serious dialogue between all entities. This is what we are doing in the Future Mineral Forum. And if you are looking for a resilient, responsible, sufficient, secure supply of future minerals, please come and join us in January this year from 10 to 12 here in Riyadh, in this place, to help the world and help the countries in Africa, East Asia, West Asia, and Central Asia develop and help.
And that's where it'll all be happening in January. You all have an invitation to that. We're going to have to leave it there. Your Excellency Almudaifar, thank you so much. Robert Friedland, Bob Wilt, and Andronika Luksik, thank you so much.